in Podcast Detroit, recording live. Prepare yourself for a hoppy drive. If you're chilling at home, pop that crowler and just kick back for the next 2 hours. It's the end of the week, so here's to the weekend. It's Better on Draft with Rob, Matt, Nick, and Ken.
And we are live in the Podcast Detroit Studios. Welcome, everyone, to Better on Draft, episode 152. I am Robert. Ken is off this week, and magically I have reappeared after roughly a, what was it?
About
a 3-hour hiatus. Has it been three weeks? 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks, almost a month.
Like a 3-week tour?
Seems that way. I'm pretty sure nobody was ever looking for me because most people are not really concerned where I am.
I didn't really
except for you guys, which I truly appreciate because
we put you on the milk carton and we found you.
Yeah, they found me.
We put you on a beer case and we found you.
But I guess publicly, what I really wanted to do was to thank everybody for all of their well wishes and everything that was going on. For those who did not know, sadly, a couple weeks ago, my mother passed away, and it was a difficult time. It still is a difficult time, but it is definitely good to be back here on the show and hanging out with you guys and drinking some beer.
Attaboy.
So definitely. So we'll just kind of do our usual as Ken usually does and go around the table. Matt, how you doing?
I almost called you Ken. How blasphemous would that have been?
That would have been an issue with pigmentation. Other than that, I'm not.
Dr. Bear, I am doing well. I've got my my standard diet Vernors here and a bottle of water, and we're going to go strong. I'm waiting for a little bit of crackage of the growling over here.
I see.
We'll see what's going on.
Okay.
What are you sipping on?
Right now I am sipping on. I think it's the thing that Nick poured over here.
The Molten Mirrors from Three Floyds.
Molten Mirrors from Three Floyds. It is definitely Saison-y, without a doubt. He said that earlier, and I was just kind of thinking about it. And it is yeasty, without a doubt. I'm not sure, and I don't know. I'm just not down with Three Floyds.
No?
I'm not. I didn't understand the hype with Zombie Dust. I just
You didn't get it fresh enough.
yeah. I'm sorry.
You got
Yeah.
too many hours after the release.
Here, you want some like old Zombie Dust then? Because this is old.
I mean,
It might change your mind.
I might have to go Ken on the IPAs and just like give me a Zombie Dust. It's about 2 years old. I might actually like it.
Well,
drink
this
it.
isn't 2 years, but it's I'll tell you.
Maybe they'll put a nipple under the tap so people can just come suckle on under the nipple.
They might as well because I mean everybody always complains about how not fresh it is.
About 9 months.
And 9 months. Okay, well, that's a
Gestationable beer.
exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of gestation, Nick.
Nick,
Hi.
how you doing?
What's going on?
No, Nick isn't pregnant yet.
Nick is pregnant. Okay. Enough of that.
You know, your baby's going to come out just about as tall as you, though.
Oh,
Ooh, damn! Already just.
God, Matt sucks.
I mean, through all the technical difficulties, he still decided he was going to save that
know,
one
what a jerk.
and break that out. You are truly still the one and only Matt Bush. You are one of one. You cannot be replaced.
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
All right, and we do have some guests in the studio.
We do.
I will start with the person immediately on my left. If you can introduce yourself.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Patrick.
Oh, you might want to he's got to turn
I'm
his.
figuring
try
out
now.
which mic you're on. There we go.
3.
Yeah,
There we go. 3.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Patrick from 734 Brewing
And
in
Patrick
Ypsilanti.
and Ipsy. And you, sir.
I'm Brian Jones-Chance from 734 Brewing in Ipsy.
So the pause is awesome. So Patrick, Brian from 734 Brewing. Patrick, let's start with you. What is your role at 734?
I am the CEO and I guess founder, if you want to call it that.
CEO and founder, sort of.
I'm the founder. Yeah.
Partial founder. Founder. Okay.
This is all my fault.
This is all. So when you decided that you wanted to do something crazy, how long ago was that? 734. When did that come to mind?
I started looking for a spot probably 2015 or so.
So a little over 3 years ago.
Yeah, Yeah, that's about when I incorporated just to say, oh, yes, I'm going to do something maybe someday. And then about 3 years ago, or almost 3 years ago now, I finally found a place.
Now, has brewing has always been, have you made like a hobby out of it, or like how did you get involved with beer?
Yeah, I started brewing beer because I was trying to be cheap in college. I wanted to make soda. But that's not cost effective, it turns out.
You don't need the headphones. You can leave them on.
Yeah,
That's okay.
I'll get used to it.
Okay.
Or I'll just mess with them all day. But no, so you go out to the bar and you'd pay $5 for a beer.
Sure.
And I was like, well, I can make beer cheaper than that probably. So we went to Western together.
Okay.
Well, not together, but at the same time.
Sure.
So we were next to the Bell's General Store. We would go there, get ingredients, and we made our first batch. I think it was in your basement.
It was good.
Was it good, or was it just I'm too broke to be choosy good?
It was actually good.
I think it was actually good.
I mean, given that we were trying to make pop.
Why were you trying to make pop?
Well, I just wanted to because I'm cheap.
Okay, so you wanted to make everything.
I was like, oh, I'm going to do this because, I can maybe do it cheaper, but pop is pretty cheap as it is.
It's like 10 cents. Did you just go get the bags of syrup and just?
No, I never got that far because I was just pricing it out, and I was like, oh, this is pointless.
Were you an accountant by chance?
No.
Just cheap and wholesome.
What did you guys study at Western?
Music.
Yeah, I was a music education major.
Okay.
Music. Okay. All right.
What hall did you stay in?
We actually did not stay in a hall.
We never lived on campus.
Yeah, we actually were roommates our first year. We lived at the Landing.
What? Oh my goodness.
Rob, you went to Western, did you?
Second Harvey for life.
Like,
Nerd.
We did go to the dining hall a couple times.
Only a handful of times. Okay. I went to Wayne State. I never went to the cafeteria once. I went there for like
Do
some
they even
overnight.
have a cafeteria?
Yeah.
Let's say?
Dude, it's people stay on campus, okay? Contrary to what people think, there are people that stay on campus.
I didn't even know there was like a dormitory until recently.
They have multiple dormitories.
Yeah.
They have like 4 or 5 of them.
I've never
And they're
known.
renovating at least 1 or 2 of them right now.
I just thought everything's around there. You don't really need it. Like
Well,
a
no.
cafeteria.
I mean,
Well,
they
it's a
do
commuter school. That's
and
what
I mean,
it
they
is.
have an international program. So
Again, but even if you get a dorm at Wayne State,
Yeah.
you're in the middle of Detroit, so there's 100 restaurants, probably as cheap and close as.
and now you have a queue line, so
There you go, even
there you
closer.
go all over the place.
So how long were you homebrewing for before 734 came to?
something like 10 years.
So about 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Was there like a light switch point or a batch that you brew that says, okay, I should take this commercial?
Actually, it was my wife. I think I was gradually building up to maybe doing it, but when my wife became pregnant with our first kid, she was like, "If you're gonna do this, it's now or just forget about it." So,
I feel a little bit of an ultimatum in there.
Were you teaching music somewhere?
yeah, I teach still.
Oh, you still teach?
Yeah.
Like high school?
High school band
school.
and choir, yeah.
Can I ask where?
Yeah, and it's in Ypsilanti.
It's in Ypsilanti. Okay, so all right, it's still local. Very cool.
So do your students know that you own a brewery?
Most of the ones that I've had for a couple of years, no. I try to keep it under wraps.
Oh,
for a long
sure.
time.
Yeah.
No, we've had a teacher or two on this show. haven't we?
The
Brew
the
review crew.
Brew review crew.
Brew review crew, yeah.
And they talked about some of their students, quote unquote, accidentally running into the podcast
Yeah.
and finding out.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where it's like, hopefully these kids don't try to befriend me too much and all of a sudden
Yeah.
think that, they can just walk into this brewery and, have something on me.
Have your students tried to come into the brewery like before they were of age and like, come on, like maybe showed a fake ID and you're like, come on, you're like 19. I had you last year.
I have had a couple of graduates come and drink root beer, but they were 18, so they were allowed to be there. So
Now, do you brew your own soda now?
we use a Sprecher syrup,
Okay,
so sort of.
kind of.
We mix it up.
Is it cost efficient?
Yes.
So let's go back to the brewery. It's you as CEO, founder. Now, how many other people joined in on this venture?
So there was Brian, and then our other friend from high school, Alex.
So it sounds like all three of you were really, really close long before 734
Yeah.
came as an idea. That's pretty.
Are
Cool.
one of you 7, one of you 3, and one of you 4?
No, that's just the area code.
We were hoping there was more other than the area code.
I mean, I kind of, it was like when just seeing the brewery name, I was like, I mean, where they are in Ypsi, 734. I mean, if there was another meeting, I was actually going to ask if there was another meeting to it.
So there is a little bit. So like I went to Western where there's a different area code.
Yep.
And then I taught in Arizona for 5 years.
Oh.
And the whole time I kept the same cell phone number. And like you would give out your cell phone number
Sure.
to people, and they would say, "Oh, 734, where's that?" So it became like a small part of my identity, sort of, and it became like a point of pride, especially
Nice.
when you meet people from random places and you could tell them about.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So-
I mean, especially in this industry where people come from all over the places. I mean, Austin Brothers, perfect example. They came from California. Now they shack up in
Alpina.
Alpina.
I mean,
Most random move possible. I
you-
told my wife that story. She's like, "What?"
you feel better with Jamex and them had pretty much relocated from San Diego area to your neck of the woods.
St. Clair
Hey, my neck of the woods is beautiful. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right.
There's a giant lake right next door.
Brian, so what is your role at 734?
I'm the chairman and the chief operating officer.
Chairman, Chief Operating Officer.
So do you operate the brewery tanks, or do you actually operate the dailies?
The dailies. So
Okay.
I help the brewer manage production and pricing, marketing, and sales.
So do you usually give like a lot of feedback or input to to your head brewer, or do you kind of let him make it autonomous where he's kind of running the brewing?
Well,
or do you guys kind of do it like 50-50?
No, she does her own thing. And
Okay. All right.
the only input for me is usually ordering quantities and making sure that we're brewing a brew time supply. So if a batch takes 18 days from start to finish, we just
Sure.
make sure that the sales that we're predicting, and we only brew 18 days worth of beer so that we don't run up inventory.
Sure.
Now, do you have a second job or a primary job as well, or do you?
Yeah, I sell commercial real estate.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, whoa, there you
That's
go,
how we got
Matt.
that's how we got the location.
Oh, there you go. We'll talk off air.
Oh,
That's it. Got two realtors sitting at
shop
the
talk
table
over
now.
there. So that's kind of one of the things that I've always kind of seen is as far as the local breweries with you guys, with like Eastern Market Brewing, that it's always kind of a half foot in that there's always that other job that you guys have to do. How is that in terms of just like trying to shuffle between your day job and the brewery and trying to make sure both are running smoothly?
It's probably more difficult for Patrick. I just do spreadsheets all day.
My teeth are getting browner and browner from all the coffee that I've started to.
Are you guys open 7 days a week, or are you
Yeah.
guys
7
okay.
days a week from noon to 2 a.m.
Well, it's
Now,
pretty.
that's a little different too, because
2:00 on a Tuesday. You guys are just.
It's not like your typical brewery hours. Like
most breweries they're not open on Mondays.
yeah, closed
Or till-
on Mondays.
or till
open,
2.
Yeah, open from like noon to 3:47 on Tuesdays, and all those weird hours. I don't know.
But I'm sure you guys have all driven to a brewery and only to be like, "Oh, it's Tuesday, it's closed." And
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
do that.
Yeah, I've seen. I actually saw that
Plenty of times.
last week. Drove up to Drafting Table. I was just stopping in just to talk to some of the guys there, and there was a bunch of guys who just had their takeout food and was wanting to walk in and have a couple beers, and lo and behold, they don't open till 3, and here it was at 1:00, and
There's a couple of good reasons for being open and having predictable hours. Restaurant and bar owners will probably tell you that predictable hours are kind of necessary
yeah.
from a customer point of view. And then who we're targeting tend to be, and we're in Ypsi, so people tend to be lower income, so they don't always work 9 to 5. And if you got midnight workers or people who work afternoons or weekends,
Yeah.
you need to be open.
What would you say is your target demo?
It is anyone who does not currently enjoy craft beer.
Why do you?
Oh.
Why do you say non-craft beer drinkers then?
According to the Brewers Association, it's the guy Bart Watson or something, he's the economist at the Brewers Association. The market for craft beer right now skews male, younger, whiter, and higher income.
So you're trying to attract
Everybody else, literally everybody else. There's a huge market out there. We went, I think, from 2014, craft beer sales were growing at 18%. 2017, they were growing at 5%. There's only so many more you can divide up this one slice of the pie. Somebody's got to, put your balls on the line and grow the pie.
So I'm hearing old black ladies then.
That would be
That's
nice.
part of it,
We do
yeah.
get some.
So gospel
They could
choirs Saturdays.
They could be
You're
older.
basically you're talking about Axel's demographic right now.
Part of them, yeah.
Yeah, part of them, because especially Dan does get a very nice crowd over there for brunch. Brunch is awesome.
A lot more women would be nice. Older people would be nice. We do get a lot of young people of color, and that's cool. Our events skew toward that, and
What kind of
really,
event?
it's nice. It's a very different vibe. It's nice.
What kind of events do you guys normally have there at 734?
We do a lot of live music.
Live music.
Yeah,
Well, like what?
Is there a certain style of music that you guys?
we've had everything. It's from like hip hop and R&B to Melissa Etheridge covers.
That's very specific.
Some of this was in the same night, actually.
Hip hop at a craft brewery.
At a
Yeah.
somewhat non-craft,
Yeah.
but for craft.
The anti-craft.
The anti-
We try not to bill it as craft. It's more like a beer bar. It has like a bar vibe. We kind of eschew the hipster aesthetic. There's no pallet wood anywhere. It's
Right,
nice.
because I mean,
It's a nice place.
I mean,
that's
it's,
cool. All right.
I mean, as far as you guys, where you guys are located, I mean, there's a lot that's around you at that block. I mean, there's you, on the same side of the block. There's Sticks / Aubrey's. The other side, you've got Sidetrack and Cultivate.
Don't
and
shout out all their competition.
I'm just saying that. I mean, you're talking about in a square block, all of that being there, and it is competition. It's still competition that's there, and it's just hearing the different ideas of the things that you guys do, which to me, as far as Cultivate's concerned, I mean, between you two, it's kind of like night and day. I mean, Cultivate on their end, I mean, they have. I mean, granted, it gets people in there, but I mean, they have a chess night, they have a knitting night, crocheting, and here we have something that I think is a little different, and I kind of like this idea.
I think everybody in Ipsy really does like the idea because that's kind of what Ipsy is about. To the point that it's funny that you mentioned this. Some of the knitters have asked to have a second knitting night at our place.
You have knitting night at
We
734.
are not turning anybody away, especially not women who like to knit.
Okay.
Well, hey, I mean, you talked about trying to get the demographic of outside of what's considered the target market of the craft brew industry as a whole, and I think you're the first brewery that's had knitters in their facility and had regular events there. I mean, we've had 150 plus episodes, and I don't recall a brewery having a knitting night, which is very, very specific, but.
On the same night as open mic, I think it's going to be on the same night.
Oh, really?
Oh, that works perfectly.
And so, how big of the facility is 734? Is it a big?
It's pretty small.
Is it small?
I mean, it's 1,800 square feet, and that's small.
What kind of system are you guys running?
We are running. We have 10-barrel fermenters,
Okay.
but we have basically a 5-barrel brew house system.
Oh, wow.
Now,
We're
Did
very
you-
efficient with space.
when you started brewing and you thought you'd do it, professionally, commercially, if you will, did you plan to have a flagship beer, or did you just want to make a bunch of different beers and see what would happen?
The plan was definitely to have a flagship, and we were always going toward accessibility in beer. So, like, we're trying to brew beer that is not too far out of the box that people will be not offended, but intimidated by it. We don't want it to be intimidating. We're trying to not.
Now,
put
do
our
we have any of
pinkies up.
those in front of us then?
We do.
Okay.
Can we crack one of those open?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
start
Oh,
with the cream ale.
This is how you get the bud drinkers to
So, yeah,
start
we-
drinking craft beer.
we have,
Always a question with us is what
Well,
do you have
it's a-
that gets the yellow beer drinkers
This.
into your
And
location?
it's a 1-2 punch. So we offer
Pass that on.
this beer. It's a classic styles. Simple, easy to understand, easy to drink. approachable, and it sells for $3.50. So if you're used to drinking Bud, that switching cost goes way down. When you're thinking about if I'm going to get a Bud at $3.50 on happy hour, and so you go into this craft beer place and this is your first time, and someone shows you, try this, it's great. You might believe them, but when they tell you it's $7,
That turns them off really, really quick.
It's not that great.
it's like,
Right.
yeah, fuck you. Yeah.
So, do you get like a lot of those people that come in and say, "Hey, I've never had a craft beer. What's something that's kind of like
Bud Light.
Bud Light?" Is this the thing that you guys turn them to right from the get
We
go?
have converted a lot of people.
Yeah, so there's this. There
insane.
used to be a motorcycle shop across the street. They just moved recently.
Okay.
But so there was bike night over this. It's every Wednesday over the summer, and we would always have bikers coming in saying, "You got any Miller Lite?" So we say no, but we make all our stuff here.
Sure.
Give this a shot. We give them a sample, and most of the time it works out.
No.
What did that guy tell you?
He had 4 of them.
But isn't it like after the fourth one, it doesn't matter anymore?
Oh yeah, after the fourth one, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I think it's like after the second one usually at this point. But so what kind of ABV are you working with here on the cream?
This is 5.5.
5.5. Yeah.
5.5.
And it doesn't have a creative name, or is it just cream ale?
It's the Cross Street Cream Ale. All of our beer names right now have
Because it makes you
C
cross the street to come drink the cream ale from the motorcycle
right.
club?
There you go.
And plus, it is the street that they're.
Yeah, that's the
That
thing,
is
right?
cross street.
These are all Ipsy school references.
Yeah, we're playing. I mean, we're doing the hometown boy play because the three of us
We are.
graduated from the same. We graduated from Ipsy High School in 2004. We tried to go other places with our logo, but you really can't get more Ipsy than.
the most infamous structure in all of Ypsilanti, which looks rather
Hashtag me too.
yeah. Oh,
Come on, am I wrong?
Ooh, come on.
come on,
Like
man.
I'm surprised.
But we,
Just mute him now and just get that over with. Thank you.
And
For all of the women listening, Patrick and I are not laughing at this.
Yeah.
but we. Maybe.
But I understand.
But so the cross street is also where the original Ipsy High School was.
Yep.
Yeah, and now it's a senior center or an old folks home. I don't know what you call it.
All right.
So my grandparents went to that school, and now they could leave there.
It's kind of sweet.
So I mean, so 734 Brewing is actually located right across from Riverside Park, which was where the summer festival was that we were at.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, it's literally like right across the street.
wait,
hope you guys came.
didn't you ride with us?
No, I drove solo.
Oh,
I
okay.
had a-
Because we parked right behind.
Yeah,
Right behind the building.
Now,
In fact, when we were leaving, we went to the barbecue that was basically right in front of them, and
Oh,
we got
there you go.
I forgot we got something to eat. I couldn't remember what it was.
so
It
that
was Gabriel's cheesesteak, or maybe it was
Yes, it
Puppy's
was.
soul food, maybe.
there
It
you
was
go.
the cheesesteak. I remember that
Okay,
now.
All right. Now were you guys at the summer festival and the fall festival? The
It
most?
came to us.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I guess it came to you guys.
We weren't open long enough.
Yeah, so the Brewers Association, you have to be open for 3 months before you can be a part of that, and at that time we had only been open for 1 month, so
Oh wow. So 734 has really only hasn't even been open for a year yet.
right, like 4 months.
4 months.
Since June 2nd.
But 4 months, and you guys are already holding regular events, and people are asking for additional dates to run with these events. It sounds like.
It feels like Ipsy in there, and people in Ipsy like it.
I mean, it's is this part of Depot Town proper? Like, is this
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
still Depot Town right there? I mean, it's not necessarily the street going down Michigan Avenue. You turn. I forgot the name of the street, but
That's River, and then River turns to Cross, and then
yeah, I
Cross
think, yeah.
is where most everything
Yeah.
is, and that's where we are.
Yep, that's right there. Yep. So that's still considered Depot Town right there where you guys are at.
Yeah, I mean we're
Till you cross
so
the river.
Right. So there's that
Yep.
one block, and then we're on like the smaller block.
Sure.
We're like Depot Town Minor.
Depot Town.
So are you guys kind of shooting for like the dive bar feel, or like?
No, you got to go in there. It's
Okay.
it's not divey at all.
I guess I'm just so
It's very modern. It's very clean. It's very.
whatever the opposite of Ipsy is. That's where I feel I am. So I mean I don't know anything about. I might have spent like 3 hours of my entire life in Ypsilanti.
Wow,
I am
man, you
not.
got to get out there.
Do I know?
For sure.
Get out there. I mean, it is. I guess for me, it is just probably one of the just most chill college areas I think I've ever been in.
Very underrated
and,
town.
And unlike Ann Arbor, where certain rabid beaver fans that are out there,
You mean
that's-
skunks?
No, I mean, pretty much my definition of a wolverine is a rabid beaver, is that, just all they do is just walk in the middle of the
think you're-
street
I
like
think
they
you're
own
going
the whole damn town.
I think you're a little hard on the beaver.
Oh my gosh. So, damn it, man. So let's shift gears a little bit. I'm kind of scrolling through you guys' Facebook. Obviously, there's no food program at 734, but it does,
Sort of.
But food trucks though.
Yes.
So what kind of food trucks do you guys normally get?
Depends on the night. They tend to be local.
Okay.
And so far, there are people who have either just made changes to their business, like Cuppies. There's a soul food place they've been open for a while. They changed locations, did some remodeling, and we have them do a pop-up inside.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then there's a food truck that just opened, Good Eats, and to try to give them more access to Depot Town crowd, we invited them down.
Sure.
And then at a dinner party, we met...
Tacos El Mariachi Loco.
Yep. They just opened, I think, in February. And now that we want to give them access to Depot Town also.
So you got a little mix going on with the food trucks.
You don't like the food one night, just come back the next night.
So you guys are also right down the street from Eastern Michigan University. Do you guys get that college crowd coming in? Because being college students, they're gonna like drift towards their PBR and their blue can Stros. I'm gonna say the blue can Stros because that's what we did at Wayne
Fair.
State. And then your Busch Light and all that. Do you guys get that college crowd coming in through there?
Tends to be more of a Thursday, Friday, Saturday crowd. during
The
week.
college kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that makes
We
a lot of
definitely
sense.
do get college students, but we spent our first few months being open really targeting those the people that are living in Ipsy basically.
Sure.
And I mean, not to push out the college students.
Oh no, yeah.
They just
we're
weren't in
just
town
trying
at
to
the time.
focus on one. Yeah, right. We're trying to focus on one thing at a time. And,
They weren't in town necessarily at the time
Right,
you guys
yeah.
opened. I guess school wasn't in session at the time. So.
All right, so actually, I got a question that's out here on Facebook. This is coming courtesy to one Jason Avery. He is kind of saying that he hears that some brewers don't actually like when someone comes in and doesn't know what they want. And of course, he personally likes to ask what they suggest because he sometimes just want to know what the brewer is most proud of. Obviously, we don't have the brewer here, but I guess the question being, I mean, he's asking what is the best foot forward beer. I guess my version would be saying what's your best seller.
well, the best seller is definitely the IPA, which
okay.
is to be expected. I mean, it is craft beer, even though
Is
we
that what
try
else
not
we
to.
have?
Yeah, we have the IPA here. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
No Ken.
best foot forward beer. I don't know. In terms of what customers want, or in terms of
Well, I
what-
guess
what we would recommend to
in
somebody.
case of Black Dynamite, put your foot in it. I mean, I don't know.
I actually like it when somebody comes and doesn't know what they want because I mean we only have 6 beers on tap.
okay.
We're keeping it very simple. We try to have something for everybody within our limited selection, but we're trying to do these beers very well. So I try not to talk very much when I'm behind the bar, which is not very often anymore. But I mean, we'll just give them a sample, and then
Sure.
if they like it, we'll say, well, what do you normally drink?
So you got the cream ale, which we have right here.
Or
you
what
got,
do you hate? That's a nice one.
there. That's another one. We have an IP. This is the IPA right here. So we're gonna. I
This
guess
is
we're
the
gonna.
Ipsy High PA.
Ipsy High IPA. We have so you got the cream ale, the IPA. What other ones do you guys serve?
We have an amber, an oatmeal stout, a raspberry version of the cream ale,
Oh,
and then we have an apple wine, which is 8.5% or almost 8.5%.
okay.
Carbonated, well, not really carbonated, a little bit, and it sort of drinks like a hard cider, but it's not as sweet.
Oh,
It's very dry.
okay.
That the strongest offering.
That is the
fine.
strongest offering. Yeah.
If you hate cider, it's the one for you, and if you love cider, it's the one for you.
Any beer and barrels or stouts or any heavy things coming?
No, we're looking to brew our next different batch pretty soon. Now that we've gotten our system pretty much figured out.
Yep.
But as far as space is concerned, I have some applications in for some extra storage.
Oh.
So if we get extra storage, we might start expanding
Applications with the city,
with the state.
with the state.
Oh, okay.
Has the state? How has the city received you as far as like government wise? Has that been pretty easy? Or
They're very welcoming.
amazing.
Yeah. They definitely want us there, and it's been nice.
Yeah.
now with you being a former brewer, is it easy? Do you participate in brewing still, or do you let your brewer go? Do you have input? Do you?
I gave the brewer all my recipes, and she tore them to shreds. I mean, she made them way better than they ever would have been. So I just said cool. And every now and then we'll talk about, maybe we can change this hop, or what flavors do we want to bring out or get rid of.
It sounds like a very, very open discussion between
yeah.
between you guys and your brewer. As to what ideas are out there, what you guys are I got this idea while I was doodling on a cocktail napkin one night. What do you think about this? So it sounds like you guys have a really open line of communication between each other about sharing ideas.
Sure. Yeah.
And it always revolves around what the customers are wanting, what they're drinking.
Well, yeah, there's always trends in the market and all that. Obviously, we're going through the IPA fad. We got the bourbon barrel fad.
But we're just looking at what sells in our tap room, because
In the Ipsy area.
and that's part of the challenge of diversifying the crowd is what goes.
You have to diversify their palates too, right?
Well, what goes for the standard brewery doesn't necessarily go down in our brewery. So the tastes are I mean, the apple wine is the second best seller.
Really?
Yeah, I mean the the IPA's top, but the apple wine's not far behind.
Okay. All right.
We have a raspberry cream ale that does pretty well.
Is there a
It's
beer
falling
that
off
you
in the summer.
Oh, wow.
brewed that hasn't come back yet that people clamored for, or something that you get requests that doesn't always make the taps?
Oh, we haven't actually rotated yet. I mean, we've changed hop profiles on everything.
You try to perfect the recipe, basically, or just you try something different.
And they've all been good, and people, I think what's cool about it is that the craft beer snobs
the craft beer yeases.
Yeah, they like to guess what changed.
Yes.
The only thing that doesn't change really is the names, but they like to guess what changed. They like to talk about it.
Sure.
And you can, it's a place where the beer's good enough where you can sit down and take notes on your flight or whatever ridiculous thing you want to do. But they're also cheap enough that you can sit down and have a talk with your friends about something other than beer.
Do you get a lot of those note takers?
Yeah.
If you ask, if you go on Untapped, I would say yes.
That's
I was going to say, because I was actually kind of looking at Untapped, and I mean, everything that I saw that was rated on here, I didn't see anything rated under 3.5.
Who was it?
This is just averages.
Yo, we're gonna track that guy down. Kick his ass.
It's all their burner accounts.
It's a burner patrol account. No, we got the cream ale, we got the IPA. What are your guys' thoughts, Matt? You're definitely you probably are the one that goes for the lighter beers, the smashable beers.
I would love to hear your.
No, I don't hate IPAs.
That's Ken. Ken hates
Ken
it.
hates IPAs.
Ken really hates it.
I mean, I was gonna say this might sound offensive, but not offensive at the same time. That your cream ale tasted just like a macro lager. So I mean, I don't want to offend you by saying it tastes like a Budweiser, but I want to say, you made a beer that.
If Budweiser tasted good.
I mean, I guess for me, it just felt like it was cleaner than a Budweiser.
Yeah,
it's got a little bit more backbone to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll mess with that any day.
Yeah,
and it's not
me
lagered,
too.
so it does not take as long, which means we can
Cycle
keep
faster.
inventories down.
Keep
and
churning
keep
it out
prices
more.
down.
Yeah.
I think the IPA, it's clean. It's got a nice hoppy nose to it and a backbone to it, but it's not like you were talking earlier. It's hoppy enough to where if you like IPAs, it's good, but if you don't like IPAs, it's not offensive. And if you're super hophead, you'll call this a session, be content with it. So
you found like a happy medium for three different
it's like
crowds, essentially.
Whatever the difference between like medium or medium and large is, like a large.
Extra medium?
Yeah. Like a medium plus, if that makes sense. Like there's probably like 50 IBUs in this, so it's not like overly hopped to where it's going to kill somebody, but not underly hopped where we're like, man, that's
I think just with having dealt with so many doubles and quote unquote triples over the last 4 or 5 months, it's just kind of nice to just kind of have something
yeah.
that's.
I agree.
I think it's balanced, so where it's not like a West Coast IPA where it's overly piney,
Right.
and overly dry to
Like
where you have to
stone,
basically,
like stone.
or even like the Rebel IPA from Sam Adams. I mean, you're not scraping your tongue to like, all right, I need to take a sip of something else. Like, can I get a root beer or a ginger ale just so I can taste something
and
again?
it's not that. And what we're finding is the people who are really into craft beer actually like sometimes just sitting down, having a nice, like, clean style that tastes like what it's supposed to taste like.
Yeah.
There's nothing added to it to mask, mask the base beer. Like, we're not adding, bee guts and
Yeah, I know.
canned toppings or whatever.
Yeah.
Guts, that could
But
be
about to
an
say,
accident.
I know a perfect one where someone added something to it to try and mask the base beer.
Well, why don't you tell us about us in 10 minutes after we take this quick break?
Okay.
We're going to take a break? We are going to take a break.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna take a break.
All right, so we're going to take a break. We'll be back with the Better on Draft podcast. And we're back with the Better on Draft podcast, episode 152. We are still here with 734 Brewing.
Yes, we are.
We are. We have not scared them away just yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Working on it.
Well, he's working on that.
Yeah, well, Matt is.
But, well, definitely Matt. But Matt can't do that right now
Here is
because...
Robert with the beer news.
Wow, Rob. Like,
So professional.
very professional.
You know, I'm still waiting on my music, by the way, Kevin, if you're listening.
It should be... do you forget what I do as my second job?
Did
Trivia
you
host.
forgetting about what I do for my like 8th job?
I don't know how you run through a job.
Rob,
no,
kick it off,
no,
man.
no idea.
what's going on out there today?
All right,
'Cause it's
so-
been a while since you last done one of these.
I know. I miss doing the news.
Yeah.
As, by the way, I've cracked open Ascension Brewing's 15-mile porter,
Okay.
which is rather silky smooth right now because, it's just kind of dark beer season. We've also got to open a can of white coffee stout from Eastern Market Brewing Company as we celebrate the elephant, as they like to say.
The elephant.
So just going through some of the stuff that was going on, I came across this one today about, we know of the company called WeWork. They have, they're kind of an international network of shared workspaces.
It's like a Regis, right?
Sure,
Okay.
in a way. So basically they've got a new perk that's going around where they're really just kind of throwing this out there in the business world, I guess, in my opinion. And it's just something that really kind of threw me off because you don't really see this in many businesses. But they are providing a new perk, which originally it started off as unlimited free craft beer in the workplace.
What?
Yes. They have since now changed that stance, and now it is basically it's only 4 12-ounce pours per day per person. It's basically, I think what they said in the article, I was looking at it on Market Watch, that that the beer is basically, it's locked. You have to use your badge, which then unlocks the ability to actually make that 12-ounce pour. But of course, you
Like
are
a virtual
getting
bartender, basically.
basically, yeah. And so you're getting 4 beers per day.
It's only between the hours of 12 and 8.
12 and
p.m.
8, so no late
9
night
o'clock
drinking and
breakfasts.
yeah, exactly. I mean, they're obviously not putting any breakfast out on in the morning for anybody to touch, but there definitely is some concern with the people who don't drink, the people who have either stopped for drinking for their own health or personal reasons, or the people who are just in the workplace who want to work and they expect to see alcohol outside of the workplace. And I kind of feel like when we're kind of in a climate right now where, drinking in the workplace could lead to some not so savory moments in work history, a la, the any type of movie you see about somebody getting drunk at a Christmas party, can pretty much potentially happen any day of the week now.
Is this well? First off, I think they're only piloting this 4 beers a day in New York.
It's like New York, and they mentioned Dallas as well.
I think there's a WeWork here that still has not cut down their usage yet. I think they're only piloting the 4 beers a day in New York right now.
So,
But I mean,
Because-
is it something that should even be tried?
yes, and is it any more offensive than Janice from accounting coming back from her smoke break?
Why is it always Janice?
Because Janice doesn't give a fuck.
oh my God.
But is it any more offensive
There you go.
than the lady who comes, or the guy that comes back from their smoke break who took 15 free minutes of work, and we all have to work the 8 hours, and then she's dragging that tobacco nicotine trail across your office?
But I mean, in the bigger picture, what's worse, the person who just smells like tobacco, or the person who smells like alcohol and could possibly be to a point of inebriation where they shouldn't even be there?
I'm actually gonna side with Rob on that thought.
Yeah, no doubt.
Obviously, for obvious reasons. Beer in workplace should definitely not. I don't even know how anything like this could actually.
I mean, now granted,
work like that,
I have
but-
been in a workplace that has allowed beers, like way back in the day, back in the early 90s. Not the 1890s, the 1990s. Don't even fucking think about it.
I'm just glad you went to the 19th century on that one.
I was gonna say the 1960s.
I'm glad you put a century
So
on it. for me.
in the late 1990s, I was working in Ann Arbor. It was a company called Harbinger, which for our folks in Ypsi, it basically was the corner of State Street and Eisenhower, and right next door to 777 building. And we used to have, in our call center, we used to have Beer Blast Fridays. Our boss would go down to the Meijer, and he and like two other call center reps would go to Meijer. They would come back with essentially 4 cases of beer. And he would walk around like an airline stewardess and basically taking the cart to people who were on the phones, and they could grab a beer. Everybody would have, essentially, they would have a 2 beer max. That's all you could have. And then,
2 beers like the first one and the last one, and
No, 2. Flat out 2. And, everybody in there was cool with it. And then, once the company actually got taken over by a bigger company, they said, no, there's too much liability.
and rightfully so.
Right. And, at that time, I don't think the way things are today, as opposed to then, I really didn't think anything of it. It was just, okay, I'll have a couple Honey Browns and, I'm good.
Honey Brown.
Loved Honey Brown, man. That shit was amazing. I'd still buy it.
see, I guess I just
A.W.
don't
Dundee.
get the whole.
Yes.
I don't get the negative tier. Like, I think, and don't cast me in the wrong light here, but I think we're so tightly wound as a society where everything could offend. I think this is one of those things that is meant to open things up and lighten the mood. Like,
I mean, shouldn't we be tightly wound? I mean, I feel like we kind of come from a place where there was a whole bunch of people who were just passive aggressive and didn't want to voice their opinions for fear of persecution.
well, my thought is like,
And now we're at a point where
Yeah.
everybody's just like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to say whatever the hell I want to say.
Yeah.
Because I don't like you.
I feel like we're starting to go in full circle. We're starting to come to full circle now.
Yeah.
it's kind of like this whole Halloween's my favorite holiday. I got 8 people that came to my door because of this whole damn trunk or treat thing, where people don't go door to door anymore. They go trunk to trunk in parking lots.
You need to go to where my niece
Well,
lives,
the thing is,
and
I
because there was
want-
kids all over the place. Trunk or treat, whatever the hell it is, that was dead on that neighborhood
I could hit
on
60
Halloween.
cars in a
this
parking
week
lot and have as much candy as it takes to hit 60 houses in a neighborhood.
in 5 minutes.
Go into those trunks, man.
Yeah, but it's not the idea of the kids going to the trunk or treats. It's the idea of the parents not wanting your kids to go out, meet the neighbors, meet the neighborhood
So,
kids.
yeah, all right.
It's that whole
I-
lighten up a little bit,
A
Francis.
little bit.
Yeah. And that's where you're like me, where on Halloween, I was drinking beer while I was walking with my niece. I'm like,
I was about to hand out Jello shots, but then I was like, yeah, they might be good.
hand out Jello shots to kids.
Well, not to the kids, to the parents that were walking with them.
Actually, I was offered a beer on Halloween.
I
as
always
was
give
walking.
out beer.
They're like, "Hey, man, you want a beer?" I'm like, "Nah." I'm like, I pulled the solo cup I had. Plus, I was pointing to the wagon that we were carrying around for our niece whenever she didn't want to walk. I'm like, "Yeah, I got a backup one right there."
Did you guys have any trick or treaters at the brewery?
Brewery.
Or
No,
No.
parents stopping in
Parent
and saying
trick-or-treaters?
not this year.
So I mean, I guess even for these guys, this is kind
You
of
have
a
a beer
weird
rule
question
at
because I
work?
mean, beer at the workplace,
Beer at
and I
work
mean,
is
it's
part
your
of-
job.
yeah.
It's
No,
your
yeah.
job to have beer at the workplace.
We don't
It's on our-
allow it either.
It's on our daily checklist. Like you have to taste all the beers as a part of.
I guess what makes this unique is that this is a shared workplace, a shared workspace.
Right.
So it's not like it's like where you work, Rob, or where I work.
Well, I mean, if
corporately structured, all these rules, and there's an expectation.
Unless the boss sent me to Germany for a week and I had to go to the plants out there, then
your company has plants in Germany.
I mean, hey, we're Daimler. We got everything.
Okay, all right.
It may say Detroit Diesel on the door, but it's still Daimler.
I'm sure that
Fair enough.
in their leases, though, these WeWork people, they have beer is a part of the lease. Like, unlimited beer is probably one of the gimmicks that separates them from the other, shared space kind of places, as Nick spills all over the table.
It was only a little bit.
It was minor. But I mean, what
Compared
about
to you.
what about the people who? I mean, what if you got somebody who's in there who's like a recovering alcoholic? He's sitting there with his 6-month pen, and then all of a sudden, here comes these kegerators that are sitting in the office.
Yes.
You should be the good guy and take his little badge.
Yeah.
Let me get your beers.
No,
I need yours. What?
Well,
Give him
so
some
do you
root beer.
like?
Well,
Does he have to drive home not past any party stores? Does every party store have to close when his car's coming down their street, or
mean,
every brewery?
If you're in Detroit, that's a trick question. I mean,
Because there's one at every corner.
we got more party stores than McDonald's. It's ridiculous.
But again, I mean, temptation is part of recovery. It's something that you have to account for. And I think he's right. Maybe, hey, let me hold on to your badge for you as a good friend, and I'll do the drinking for you, or we'll all have a round on you, literally on you.
So, I mean, so let's ask Patrick and Brian these questions. What are your guys' thoughts to this? I mean,
I've seen I've been in the Google offices. They have beer there. It's not.
oh, do they?
Yeah, it's.
Do they drink in the teachers' lounges?
No, not anymore. Not these days. I did interview at a school where they had just 3 years prior stopped letting teachers have beer in the lounge.
Wow,
That's not normal though.
that's outside the norm.
I think as long as you have standards in place, you can only act a certain way, it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
People should be able to handle themselves, and if they can't, kick them out.
Okay, Brian, what are your thoughts?
I think WeWork might be on the right track. I mean,
Okay.
as far as workplace productivity goes, beer kind of doesn't mix. And
Sure.
if you're leasing out office space, workplace productivity is kind of an important selling point. And they have a lot of outstanding lease obligations, so they should probably be getting their numbers up.
Or are they trying to make people unproductive so they have to come back to work longer hours? And it's kind of like a...
Oh, you're
like
using our space for more.
Or, no,
Sorry,
what-
we're gonna charge you another $100.
What if it's like the peanuts or the pretzels at the bar? You grab from the free peanuts so you want to have another beer. What if that's the...
I mean,
Well, you ever think?
who knows? Who knows?
And maybe that could be the plan.
That could be.
I don't know. All right. So another one that I saw, which I guess in another way, with drinking in the workplace, this kind of bringing the drinking on the rise, that there is a new trend that is starting to become the next big thing. As I saw this article on Thrillist, that the new trend being low alcohol by volume drinking.
What?
Yes.
What? Come again?
Basically, what the article was talking about was that, in years past, that the general consensus with craft beer was that, the higher the ABV, the higher the cost, and thus higher the quality, which, I don't know about that. I don't know about that either.
Yeah,
because I kind of feel like there are enough quality beers that are around 4, 5, 6% that have the quality
drinking one right now.
that are there. Exactly, we're drinking one right now. But just with that higher quality, of course, becoming the higher price, and there has apparently had at one point had been this concern that craft beers that had a lower ABV carried the same price as the ones that were higher ABV, and so essentially what they're getting to is that this trend is getting people to start to enjoy more low ABV and in some cases non-alcoholic beers altogether. There was one that they pointed out in the article which apparently is still going well overseas. From Copenhagen's brewery Mikkeller, which of course it does Mikkeller does get distributed here. This particular beer does not, but it's called Drinkin' in the Sun, which is a wheat ale that clocks in at 0.3% ABV.
So it's all duals,
and it is the brewery's highest grossing beer this year, 0.3%.
Sharps.
Sharps, yes. The COO rather, he thinks that the U.S. is ready for low ABV and non-alcoholic. More of those beers to start showing up, and apparently these statistics are kind of pointing in his favor, because according to the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, basically, there's about 30% of adults who were surveyed that haven't had alcohol in the last year, and about 44% that haven't had alcohol in the last 30 days.
Where did they find this survey? Please source. This sounds like a tweet.
It's the government.
I don't know if I can believe it.
The government did this survey.
Enough of the.
So
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
won't talk
and
about that.
obviously, I mean, we've got like actually I was talking over the break that this cream ale, I kind of feel like this could be canned and put right next to Solid Gold and sold in stores.
Yeah.
But as Solid Gold being an example, that you're talking about a low ABV
Still
beer
5% alcohol,
that
isn't
it's still I think it's still it's 5. Is it 5 or like 5.3 or something like that?
We'll just say 5.
Yeah, but I mean it's a low ABV beer that is from a craft
E.
-E brewery.
Come on, we all know they're not craft.
By definition, they are not. Though, and there was an article that I was still looking up that they apparently are going to be changing the definition again.
The Brewers Association?
Yes.
Sam Adams is still in,
Yes.
though.
And
Sam Adams is 100% owned by.
Part of
yeah,
it.
from what
But Sam Adams is still owned by Boston Beer.
Yeah,
But
Sam
founders.
Adams, Youngling, they're still in.
yes,
But
they're still in.
But they produce an house. They're not owned by financiers. That's.
Oh, I'm not mad about it.
right. But I mean, I'll bring
Gotta
that.
make
I'll,
your money somehow.
I'll bring.
Is there an amount that you guys would sell for and be okay with not being technically craft beer?
If someone wanted us that bad,
I'd
I would
take-
probably also want us.
I mean, I'll come back to that Brewers Association thing. I'm just gonna kind of like improv on
we'll
that.
talk about that
But I mean,
later.
as far as this trend of the beers hanging around 5 and 4, or I guess if you want to go Idaho and Nebraska talk around the 3.2s, right? Do you feel like this is going to be the thing?
Well, I think you could have like a 2.5 to 3.2 beer. Like my favorite style is the Berliner Weiss. It's supposed to be right about there, and it's a beer you can drink supposedly at all times of the day. And I mean, if you think about it, if you got a craft brewery, would you rather people have like 22.3 beers or like 5 7.8% beers? You'd rather keep them on that bar stool, standing straight up and having lucid conversation and charging them right about the same.
I mean, it's
all
Ipsy.
less.
There's Uber all over the damn place.
There are some people that I know that will drink non-alcoholic beer. And hold on, wait. Can I shut up? Can I freaking
Can I finish? Can I finish?
can I finish? Okay. That will drink it and like Labatt Light or Labatt non-alcoholic, whatever. And I could probably see if there are people out there that are just sick and tired of the same old taste or want something different. That it could work, but I feel like it'll be a very niche market. I feel, but
But I mean,
there's a
but
brewery.
it is.
According to this article that you shared with us, Rob, there's a brewery that does nothing but non-alcoholic.
Well,
That wait, where'd it go? I gotta find it.
I mean,
That's what she said.
oh, come on.
What, Matt?
Damn,
You're
Matt.
such a jerk, dude.
I mean, and I guess I mean, there's a market for everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, it makes sense. It's just I just wonder how much of this market it would actually take.
Well, so Athletic Brewing Company in Stratford, Connecticut makes exclusively non-alcoholic beer.
Sounds like they have treadmills in there too.
Athlete.
It's gonna be like one of those.
it's-
It's gonna be like one of those shared workplaces
I mean,
with the stand-up workstations.
It's like
and the treadmills.
The moment you said it, the only thing that was running in my head was a Mick Ultra commercial.
Athletic.
Right, exactly.
Gotta do these deadlifts
Well,
before
is
you
even
drink
a
this
brewing company,
beer.
if they brew non-alcoholic beer, wouldn't it then be a soda company?
I mean, if they still use the same components and alter them to then come up to be non-alcoholic, it's kind of like the same way Brewery Becker
call shenanigans.
and them taking out and basically, well, not gluten-free, but deglutenizing their beers. If they're doing the alterations to take the alcohol out, that doesn't, I guess, to me, necessarily take away the components of what was used to make the beer. So I guess to me, by definition, it's still beer. It just doesn't have alcohol in it.
I just call
I mean, now, granted,
shenanigans.
I'm just in, I've only homebrewed 3 times. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So
Thoughts?
I'll leave that to the man who
What
has
do the
brewed
brewers
for
think
like
about
decades.
brewing non-alcoholic beer.
I would like to do it someday, actually. But to the session thing, all our beers are trying to, except for the IPA and the apple wine, are trying to be near 5% because, I mean, we've all had 2 or 3 IPAs in one sitting and been like, oh, that's it, we're done. But
Cowards.
some people have to work the next day, have to get up or whatever. But you know, with a 4% beer, you can have almost twice as many. Not that you should, but you know, and still survive the next day. You're not going to go drive after that, but there's something.
You just
got to
close one eye, your non-dominant eye,
There's
and you're
something
fine.
to be said for, you know, being able to hang out with friends for a longer time or being able to, you know, mow the lawn and cut the weeds and all that crap.
And not lose a hand.
Isn't there a lawnmower?
Yeah, there you go.
Isn't there a lawnmower on all day IPA's can? Isn't that?
Yeah.
That's what they're going
There's
for.
also a Roomba lawnmower these days. So
Forget that. That's my like vacation time. I put on some headphones. I got the all day IPA in my cup holder.
but isn't the lawnmower too
I'm
loud?
just- No, the headphones are noise canceling.
Oh,
with,
see, this
with
fancy.
some
I
music.
got the electric lawnmower to where you barely makes it a little purr. That's it.
No, I mean, I'm sitting down. You know, I'm cruising around.
Rob, you got one more for us?
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to kind of go on about the Brewers Association and them proposing to change their definition. So their definition currently, right now, as most of us know, craft brewer needs to fit these 3 criteria: that it needs to produce less than 6 million barrels, needs to be less than 25% owned by a non-craft brewer,
What percentage?
25%.
Okay.
And what they call traditional, which a majority of the beverage volume from beer made from traditional or innovative brewing ingredients. So the association, along with this was an email that went that was from the Brewers Association chair and Eric Wallace, the founder from Left Hand Brewing. Was basically saying that the third requirement, the traditional part, is under review because a recent survey showed that a growing number of craft brewers are experimenting with non-traditional ingredients, according to the beer publication, and basically that half of the 1,000 members that were surveyed were already brewing beverages outside of the organization's definition, which, of course, then is going to take them out of the craft beer or craft beer circle, of so to speak. Of course, one of those ingredients, I believe, would be CBD/THC, which now we're having those changes. Which, by the way, everybody get your ass out to vote on Tuesday.
But it won't be legal to mix beer and CBD in Michigan.
Not in Michigan, that is correct. Just everybody else.
Well, not commercially.
Oh yeah.
not commercially. But one and not it's not the article that I'm looking at right now, but there was another article that was essentially talking about the amount of beer that was being brewed annually, in that the amount was getting changed in the past because it was basically keeping Boston Beer and some of the other big craft brewers in that brewers association to make sure that they didn't get too big to fall out of the circle.
So, hold on, real
Gotta
quick.
get those dues.
What is the well? Are dues based on barrel brewage? Okay, so that doesn't matter. What is the current barrel limit?
Current is 6 million.
Okay, and the former was.
Not sure what the former
I guess
was.
my thought is, why is there even a barrel limit if the financing part is what's most important. It sounds that way, right? It almost sounds like saying you can't be a small business unless you make under X amount of dollars. So why does it matter how much output you have, as long as it's still made by one person, one team of people, and not.
So you think it should be changed financially rather than the actual production of the beer itself?
Well, the second plank is 25%.
Less than 25% owned by a non-craft brewing entity.
I just think if you had, I guess they're redundant. I think A or B are redundant. So either it's a gallon limit or it's a financial limit, period. It shouldn't be one or the other, or it shouldn't be both. Because what giant conglomerate wants to buy someone who's making 300 gallons of beer? Nobody.
No.
I think they're just trying to brand independence.
Yeah, it's just
and you don't want to kick out the biggest brands.
But the thing is, the biggest brands are the ones that distribute mass, you know?
True, but I mean, it's kind of to his point. I mean, when you look at craft beer, it's kind of, while I myself, I don't drink Sam Adams.
Why not? What's wrong with Sam Adams?
Just because I have enough beer in the basement that there's more than enough in there. I just don't get Sam Adams. But it's kind of, when you're talking about what people can pretty much consider the grandfather of craft. What's craft beer without Boston Beer Company?
Yeah, but you think about it locally. What would craft beer without Bell's? Like, imagine if the Craft Beer Society said, Bell's, sorry, you're no longer craft. Under what circumstance? I mean, we would always consider them craft beer because it's Michigan, it's self-owned. Just because they make, 600,000 barrels of beer, what does that have to do with them being craft or not?
And basically in
38 states?
No, it's more like 46 now.
But so I always like to macro and minimize it. So imagine if they said Bell's is no longer craft beer. We would all say, well, why not? Give me a reason. They say, well, they make too much beer to be craft. So, I mean, we've kind of defined it personally as macro craft and micro craft and nano craft. You've got your big players, your Bell's, your Founders, your Griffin Claws to a lesser extent, your Old Nations, and you've got your nano craft, your Dragon Mead, your 734s, your Baffins, and then you've got your middle tier of breweries that some distribute, some don't, but they put out a higher volume of craft liquor.
Are you about to put in a 3-tier system in a 3-tier system?
Oh, jeez.
It's all just rubber bands and ball bearings. It's just a symptom of people trying harder and harder to compete for the same customers. And you have to make yourself sound more independent, more craft, smaller, more niche, instead of just growing the pie and you can be the same thing to more people.
It's just a marketing play. It's like when you get mad when the band that you liked in high school. Now they're big and they sold out. They actually got good.
That's why Smashing Pumpkins traded all their street cred to Jessica Simpson.
Oh, what?
And it's I don't know. I think there's something to be said for
a small brewery like North Center Brewing Company in Northville, Michigan,
or a big brewer like Anheuser-Busch. I mean, to make those ingredients do what they do consistently over and over at multiple production facilities. Sure. That's good brewing.
13, I believe.
It might not be good beer, but it's good brewing. And
right.
Just because someone gets good and more people want their stuff doesn't make them a bad guy.
For me, my pinky gets cramped when it's up for too long, so I don't even care.
We'll let you exercise that pinky. We're going to take a quick break.
Real lowbrow.
Yes, we are going to take a break. We will be back with the Better on Draft podcast. And we are back with the Better on Draft podcast, episode 152. It is 152, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, just make sure.
The Ford Road episode is next week.
Ford Road.
Ford Road episode. Oh my God. Nicely done. All right, it is segment 3. And of course, what that means, it is time for 5 questions with Matt Bush.
Oh, we don't have music this week, so
We do. Yeah. As brought to you by North Center Brewing. You can check out North Center Brewing in Northville on North Center Road, just
South of 8 Mile Road.
south
or
of
Baseline.
Yes, Baseline.
Those fancy folks.
Yeah, those fancy folks that are over on that side don't call it 8 Mile. That's Baseline.
So we always start with geography. According to a new list by Thrillist, Michigan is the 4th best craft beer state. Which of the following states is not 3, 2, or 1? So 3 of these are better beer states than Michigan. They are 3, 2, and 1, according to Thrillist. One of them is not. So is it California, Colorado, Oregon, or Washington? Which state is not a better beer state, according to Thrillist?
By ratio alone, I feel California has to be in there because
Yeah.
it just has so many damn breweries.
Yeah.
So I feel like I got to take them out.
And then you have Colorado.
I mean, there's so much.
I mean, you have the whole Coors thing, but
Yeah.
Have you guys traveled much?
Yeah, I've been everywhere except for Washington State.
okay.
That was pretty much where I was kind of leaning. I think was
California.
I think
The answer's
Washington's
California.
still the winner. I think I'm going to go with
The answer's
Colorado. I
California.
think I'm going to go with Oregon for the one left out.
It's California.
California should be left out, is what you think?
I think they are left out.
Okay. So we have California, we have a vote for Oregon.
I mean, it's sometimes it's hard to go against anybody who is a C blank O. He's got numbers on his side.
Well, we'll see in a minute.
I think I'm still going to stick with my gut though. I'm going to go with Washington.
Nick?
Washington.
Okay, so some of you are right. In ascending order, Michigan is number 4. Number 3 is California.
Oh, wow.
Number 2 is Colorado.
Okay.
And number 1, the best craft beer state according to Thrillist, is Oregon.
Oh.
So Washington is actually number 8 on their list.
Ah.
Wow.
Massachusetts number 5, just for
I say
SSGs.
I've got too many coworkers that go to our Portland offices and they come back a little with their bags a little overweight.
So
I wonder what the criteria were.
go to Thrillist, go to their food and drink package and tab, and then type in best craft beer states.
I'll take a look.
If you're bored. All right, so keeping it more local, according to Eater Detroit, the 5 best places in the city of Detroit to get a beer are, and we're going to go by neighborhood. So I'm going to give you a neighborhood and a clue, and let's see if you can guess it. Cool?
Okay.
So number 5 is in Corktown.
Best place to get a craft beer in Corktown.
Just a beer. It doesn't have to be craft beer. So the best place to get a beer in Corktown is this Corktown staple.
Ooh.
Nick, how much time do you spend in Corktown?
Do I spend? Not very much.
Not much. So Rob, we're leading on. Are you guys Corktown familiar?
I'm not very good with the Detroit. Yeah,
I'm Ipsy familiar.
It's right on Main Street, next to Slows, or near Slows.
So Mercury.
Near Slows.
Yeah.
I mean that.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
right by Mercury.
That's Mercury's across the street.
Mercury's a good place for a beer.
It-
It's probably not the number one.
But-
that and food.
Wait a minute, there's that place across the street where we went
That's
your
Mercury.
bachelor party. No, across from Mercury.
Yeah.
The not as nice place.
Oh, that little dive.
Yeah.
Oh, Sugar House? No, that's like craft cocktail.
No, it's like right across the street. I mean, it's not.
The answer, I'm gonna shut you off here, is Bobcat Bonnie's.
Bobcat.
Oh.
All right,
Overrated food.
this place is much more known for their sandwiches.
Jimmy
Much
John's.
better known for their sandwiches. The 4th best place to get a beer in Michigan.
Is
Or
this
in Detroit.
also Corktown?
I don't know where this is. Let me.
What the hell? You're gonna give me neighborhoods and then you don't know where the fuck it is.
4th best beer known for beer place in
Place
Detroit.
known for
sandwiches.
Yep, place better known for sandwiches. I'm gonna call it southwestern Detroit.
Southwestern.
How about west of the Lodge, south of Michigan?
West of Lodge, south of Michigan? What the
Not quite Corktown, not quite Mexican Village. South Corktown.
Is that Menchie's?
Mudgie's
Mudgie's.
Deli.
Mudgie's?
You are
Mudgie's.
correct.
All right.
Yeah, see, that's what I was
Menchie-
thinking. That's what I was thinking too. But I'm like, why is he sticking us in Corktown?
But to say
again?
Mudgie's. Mudgie's. Menchie's is ice cream joint.
Yes.
So this downtown place has a list that also denotes too limited to list.
too limited to list.
So this place is downtown,
downtown.
and it has craft beer, but it is too limited to list.
Like
On
the
the menu.
beer is too limited.
Correct. On the menu, it says craft beer, too limited to list because it's
8 degrees?
8 degrees isn't downtown.
think about
8 degrees Cass Corridor,
No.
aka Midtown,
So
as they call it.
we're really okay. All right, so we're really talking.
I typically don't go downtown a whole hell of a lot unless it's maybe to go to Ready Player One. But
think of just south. Think about the Marcius area.
ooh,
Think about that half circle right there.
like Hard Rock.
No.
I mean, it's at the half circle, just outside of it.
We're talking in the half circle or outside?
Inside the half circle.
Oh shit, I have no clue.
Grand Trunk?
That place has changed. No,
We
'cause
are
Grand,
talking-
Grand Trunk's outside. Sir.
Wright and Company.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So
Never heard of them.
number 2, second to best place. This establishment in Bricktown is the oldest continual bar in Detroit.
Oldest continual bar in Detroit.
Eddie out.
Is it an Irish bar?
9.
Oh,
Okay.
so
I see what you did there.
That's a clue.
Little German there.
Damn.
Come on. I mean, if that's not the most obvious clue in the world, I'm going to fire all of you.
Jacoby's?
There we go. Jacoby's Beer Garden.
The 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. That have you guys been to Jacoby's before?
I love
it is really old.
You-
It really is.
It's really good to get drunk and then go to Jacoby's and get like the Spätzle covered in gravy because it'll soak up everything that you've got in your body.
I've gone there when I was in college. I've gone there for lunch a couple times. Didn't
food's good.
Didn't drink, just to get food.
Oh.
And awesome food.
All right. Lastly, this is the biggest downtown a downtown icon and a former Griffin Claw namesake, and that you already mentioned earlier.
Wait, repeat that again?
The blue.
A downtown,
Downtown
staple,
staple.
and a former Griffin Claw namesake.
Did they have a beer called the Blue Line? That's not a bar, is it?
Negative.
It's
Failed.
Grind Line.
Nope.
Grind Line. Ah, thank you.
But the Grind Line, then Mr. Blue Sky.
Ah,
Yeah, we put those two together. Also, a stop on the People Mover, I believe.
This is a stop.
Sounds like a stop on the People Mover.
Hopcat.
Oh, God damn it.
Just no.
Yeah, I take that back.
All right. The answer is Grand Trunk Pub.
Oh,
Is,
son of a-
is named the best beer bar in the city of Detroit.
Really?
So, go again. Number 1, Grand Trunk. Number 2, Jacoby's. Number 3, Wright and Co. Number 4, Mudgie's Deli. Number 5, Bobcat Bonnie's. I have not heard of Wright and Co. So
Neither
just
have
went
I.
through.
I will say Grand Trunk Pub. When you go there, like on Sundays before like Lions home games, awesome brunch, awesome Bloody Marys, pretty cool happening spot on the pregame.
So number 3 is the name that beer. So you guys all have a beer in front of you.
I have not had this yet.
What name that beer is this?
This is a craft beer.
As brought to you by.
Oh, this is brought to you by, but not purchased as, a Tuna Liquor in Rochester Hills, just south of M59 on Rochester Road. Go say hi to Jack, Gus, and the crew, and get the best kind of cigars they have. It's a boys.
It's a boys.
This is according to Beer Advocate, a 3.64 out of 5, a 5.5% ABV beer. It says the rating is very nice amber. Had this one camping outdoors on a typical Michigan fall day. The warm spice aromas went well with the hint of chill in the air. Cinnamon, clove, toasty, nutty, malt, and vanilla notes. Caramel and biscuit flavor carries some spice over the tongue. Bright and tasty. One of my favorites from this brewery. So as a collective, we get to ask 3 questions, and then we get to guess what beer we think this is.
All right.
So typically
Like
they
a
look.
real beer?
This is a real beer.
I mean, we have to guess a real
So
beer.
are we? I mean,
So as a
There-
collective, the 4 of you get to brainstorm.
so basically, we get to ask. Is this a a nationally distributed beer? Is this just a Michigan beer? Sometimes if we narrow it down that it's a Michigan beer, we try and triangulate the area.
And this is a Michigan craft
This
beer.
is a Michigan craft beer. So typically, if it's a Michigan craft beer, then our first question is kind of pretty much start as to how we separate the state. So I'm trying to think of which direction that I think we should go first.
So let's get some thoughts. Do you like the beer? Do you hate the beer? Is it good, bad, indifferent, meh?
It reminds me of Worcestershire sauce.
Oh wow,
Oh
that's
God, I haven't even sipped this yet.
That's
I better
different.
try it.
I get a lot of like tamarind or something.
Patrick. What about you?
I mean, it's definitely a spiced beer, and I had a bad experience a long time ago, so
Ooh.
Rob, is it a little bit hard on you?
I mean, it's not for loco, but it's still
His nose isn't bleeding.
it's pretty much. I mean, they might as well just call this one Randy Watson.
Randy Watson.
It's good and terrible.
And Nick, your thoughts? Yay, nay, meh?
When's the last time you saw Coming to America?
Oh God,
I'm
it's
not gonna answer that question.
years.
Fuck out of here.
It's kind of just meh. To be honest with you, I'm like, it's definitely like I almost get like a Christmas kind of beer out of this one.
Okay.
Really?
Well, it's a fall beer, so that
I
kind of.
get steak.
Yeah, I guess.
but it's just like I don't know. I'm not getting a lot out of it. To be honest with you.
All right.
Like
Wow. Okay, so underwhelming in all general.
it's very. Yeah, I say this is very underwhelming.
yeah, I've been leaning in the neighborhood of one of those the pumpkin beers.
Do you taste any pumpkin in this?
I don't think I taste pumpkin, but I can taste the pumpkin spice.
Okay.
Really?
Would they use that kind of spice in like a winter warmer Christmas ale, kind of like
Yeah, I mean,
like a Frankenmuth Christmas
There's
Town?
a lot of crossover.
I'm not
You
saying
have
that's
the
it.
cinnamon and the cloves.
Yeah.
So I don't get any nutmeg. So
Yeah.
Must not
So
be
let's. I don't know. You want to try and just separate it by 96 first, or should we just split it east-west by going US 127?
Is that?
I mean, 127 goes pretty much right down the middle of the damn
It
state.
does until 71, but then you have to continue it up 75 because 75.
Yeah, that's. I'm hoping you will throw in that contingency.
just so you know.
Sure, why not? Go for it.
All right, so we'll split it. We'll split it the long way. So we'll say, is this brewery located east or west of the U.S.
No, you have to
It's
add-
gotta be yes or no.
Yeah, it's got to be yes or no.
So just say yeah, east of.
Is
whatever.
is this east of the U.S. 127-75 corridor?
It is not east.
So this is west side.
So we're talking third coast. All right.
We're definitely talking on the west side of the state at this point.
So if we're on the west side, that throws in a whole hell of a lot between Grand Rapids, Kazoo, Muskegon, Traverse City.
Marshall.
There's still
Marshall,
Marshall.
Grand Haven.
I don't think. I mean, pretty much when I think UP, I think Black Rocks, and I don't think this is Black Rocks. So
I'll just say let's keep it Lower Peninsula. Your call.
okay, keep it Lower
All
Peninsula.
right, okay.
All right.
It's not
Petoskey?
Petoskey. I have a place up there, and I've had everything.
Okay, it's definitely not Petoskey.
I'll feel dumb if it's Petoskey. but
Patrick is
I don't think
ruling
it
out
is.
Petoskey.
All right. I guess any brewery suggestions, because I mean, obviously, if we split this up again by 96, we've only got one question left. And I have no clue.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I mean, you're
this is not the kind of like style that I would normally gravitate towards either.
exactly.
I would
I-
be tempted to ask if they have like a certain style that they sell it at like a regular store, like if they have an IPA at Meyer, because that narrows it down quite a bit. Because the breweries that have an IPA at Meyer,
The problem is, I know where he got it because we were in the same store before we got here.
Yeah, same dude.
So he was over at Holiday Market, and
So I actually, after I bought the beer, I made sure that I took the second beer in line and brought it forward so you couldn't accidentally say, "Oh, there was an indent," so it must have been that one.
I purposely made sure, for the integrity of the game, that I was not even going to go over to the singles section. I turned my back. I even walked backwards just so I wasn't paying attention to what you were doing.
All right, so question number 2. We know we think we know it's a spiced beer
Yeah.
from somewhere west of Michigan.
Yeah.
Other thoughts?
I mean, I think we gotta separate it by 96.
Yeah, I think so.
And then really just kind of try and narrow a certain area with the third question and then to make the guess.
Yeah, is it south of
So
south?
is this brewery south of I-96?
It is not.
It is not.
So now I'm thinking it's either Traverse City, it's
You got Traverse City, you got Muskegon.
Muskegon.
isn't like half of Grand Rapids north of 96? doesn't just like a.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's north of Grand Rapids. How about that?
Okay, all right. So
It's also north of 196 or
so
496.
Muskegon.
What does shorts have around these days? Try to be a shorts.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Oh.
This is a tricky one.
Yeah,
This is a tricky one.
Who would do this?
I mean, shorts has a lot of stuff, so it might not all be your wheelhouse, but
Well, what kind of breweries do you know that do kind of crazy things?
shorts.
Odd side.
Odd side.
Okay.
Odd side.
Okay.
Well,
Touche.
that one's south of 96.
Is it?
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Grand
It is.
Haven?
Yep,
Yeah.
it is. Okay. So it would be shorts then. Shorts would be the other one that does crazy shit.
For the most part.
With as much as they spit out,
Right.
it would be. Can you name a brewery in TC that does crazy shit?
I mean, there's North. Is it North Peak?
North Peak.
But that's not crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
They have their standards.
Yeah. And I don't know if they would gravitate towards this style. I feel that they do a lot of IPA kind of brews over at North.
Well,
Peak.
I mean, if we want to go with it, we can throw out that third question to ask the brewery, and
ask
I mean,
if this is a shorts beer.
yeah, because I mean, then we got the guess, and then if it is shorts, then we have to
Yeah.
guess the beer. If it's not shorts,
Yeah.
then
We're fucked.
we're kind of
I'll be the responsive one and ask the question.
okay.
All right. Is this a shorts beer?
Wrong.
Okay, we're fucked.
You guys, I guess I never knew how much you guys leaned on Ken for this one. You guys want to take a
He's
guess?
so damn good at this. That's why we lead
you guys
again.
want to take a guess?
That looks by that bag. It is looking like a bottle.
It is.
So
Oh, I just saw the bottle in the damn fridge. What the hell?
Yeah. I was trying to trunk aged looking.
not not shorts. North of 96 in a bottle.
I don't know.
And still west of 127.
I'm gonna say.
Eesh.
Yeah, I don't know.
A brewery that does crazy shit all the time.
All right, should we just ask, who is it? I don't know.
I
Right brain. Oh, it's gonna fall.
They put a pig head in a brew kettle. They do crazy shit all the time.
right brain chubby
Chubby
squirrel, the spiced amber ale.
So we're just gonna skip 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 because you guys took so long, and we're just gonna run back to our guests. So
There is nutmeg.
yeah. All right. So 734 Brewing. Where can we find you geographically besides Ypsilanti?
15 East Cross in Depot Town.
Yeah, so if you take 94, you can take exit 183, I guess. Otherwise, get to 94 and then take exit 183.
If you were at Riverside Park for the Summer Beer Fest,
We are right
Just yell,
across the
where's
street.
the beer?
Yeah.
right across the street.
Do you guys have social medias?
Oh, yeah,
do.
we're on Facebook, Instagram.
At 734 Brewing.
Okay. Any events in the near future that you guys are going to be doing?
There's one going on tonight. And Latin dancing tomorrow.
Ooh.
What? Latin dance?
You gotta love with that.
Wow.
With a
Latin
taco
dancing.
truck.
Exactly. Latin dancing every Saturday. Live music every Friday and almost every Thursday.
So you
and
say
Sunday.
Latin dancing and a taco truck?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's amazing.
Matt is
A
there.
real taco truck, by the way.
they're good tacos.
Okay.
It's
I'm
like
going to Hipsy tomorrow.
it's kind of like Vicente's over in downtown Detroit because they do the salsa dancing there.
That's Cuban though. Okay. That doesn't.
Okay, whatever.
not-
Okay, it's the
Come on,
style of
don't,
dancing.
don't be racist. There's
not-
Caribbean
no.
and then there's Latin.
Turn his mic off.
So, anything else that, any reason, give it, a quick plug on why people should drive from Detroit all the way out to 734 Brewing.
You'll make the gas money back in the beer prices.
There you go.
There you go.
$3.50
There
for
you-
craft beer at 734 Brewing.
Patrick, Brian, thank you for both coming out here
Thank
from
you.
all the way out from Ipsy, joining us this evening
Yes,
here.
without a doubt. Thank you for
we
coming
really
out.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having
Go
us.
drink the cream ale.
Yes.
Get the IPA. IPA is really on point. You definitely. It's not intimidating, guys. If
No.
you're not an IPA person, but you want to try something different, get it. It's not intimidating. I promise
Definitely.
you.
All right, that is going to wrap it up for episode 152.
It's
Thank you
short, but that's
guys
Ken's fault.
for listening. And Ken, you Well,
You suck!
we got it running. Yeah, I'm not going to say that. He runs the shit. So definitely check us out on Facebook, Better on Draft,
Twitch?
Twitter, Twitch. I don't know.
No,
we're
we're
not
not-
Twitch
No, we don't
anymore.
do
Facebook
Twitter
Live.
anymore. Facebook Live.
Bod.
Twitter, Bod
Podcast.
Podcast, on Instagram with Bod Podcast. Obviously, we have our podcast that is up on iTunes and Spotify,
Please
and
rate us.
pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts. Definitely give us a rating. And obviously on Facebook Live, you can send us questions. And if one of us is fast enough to read it, we can even read it on air. So that's going to do it. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you to 734 Brewing for coming out. And no matter what you think of your beer, we think it's
Better on draft.
Guys, have a good night. Oh, peace. Peace.